beautiful, emotional screen. Thank you so much for bringing this to Sundance. We appreciate it. I can see there's a lot of emotions in the audience right now, as I'm sure there has been for you. We're going to open this up for Q&A, and we'll take questions from the audience, and we'll move on from there, please. Sir, right here.
I'd like to thank you for everybody involved in the filmmaking and the doctors and surgeons for your incredibly hard work. I'm from Dublin. We have a two-state solution of sorts on the island of Ireland, but the Middle East conflict seems so intractable and peace seems further away than ever. Have all three of the surgeons, are you prepared to work in Gaza for as long as it takes to find peace, even if it's decades?
The question was, are they prepared to continue this for as long as it takes?
I mean, thank you for your question. Obviously, I thank you for all of the Irish solidarity that we've seen over the last couple of years. It's actually meant a lot to see people actually paying attention and doing something. I think in regards to your question, for myself, this is something that I plan on dedicating my life to, even if there is some sort of peace that comes, whatever that looks like. What's happened over the last 2 years means that for the rest of our lifetimes, we have to be working in a way that we can try to bring some sort of justice, accountability, and health to the people of Palestine. And I mean, that for me is easy to say because I'm Palestinian. I'd love to, I know I'm just always so astonished looking at my colleagues and seeing their dedication. I'd love to hear what they have to say.
We helped one child at a time, often stepping over dead or dying kids to get to another. We're here today, we are indebted to Poe for making this movie because it's really reaching out to you. To answer your question, how much are you willing to help? We need our Congress to flip over to more passionate people who give a shit about children. We need to make changes in our country. We need your help to do it. This film reaches out to Americans so that you learn the truth, so that you can see the carnage that we saw. And we can change.
I would just say the same thing. If we can work in Gaza until our fingers fall off, that's not the problem isn't there. The problem is here. And if it's our bombs, it's our jet fuel, it's our airplanes, it's our tanks, everything. So if we stop inducing trauma in Gaza, and not just Gaza, plenty of other places too, but Gaza, the West Bank, all over the world, then there'll be less trauma to deal with, and then the society can be rebuilt. But the answer short is yes.
In short, the most occupied territory by Israel is not the Gaza Strip, it's not the West Bank, it's not the Golan Heights, it's the US Capitol building.
Okay, I've got a loud enough voice. Lady right here, hand up, stand up, please. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You are all heroes. The doctors, everyone who's been involved in this project, and I hope that your humanity comes, and this film comes and reaches the humanity of people that really will make a difference. My question, though, is what do you think the future of Gaza is? And there's so much loaded in that question, the Board of Peace, tourism in the West Bank. What do you see as the future of Gaza?
I mean, I want to say one thing about that because it's something that eats away at me. I was just in the West Bank 4 days ago and came for the festival. And across Palestine, what we're seeing is the land and the people are being displaced, the history is being erased. So if you look at this Board of Peace, there are no Palestinians there. If you look at any future plans of Gaza, it doesn't mention any sort of Palestinian agency, it doesn't talk about Palestinian institutions. It keeps Palestinians out of the picture. And so I'm not very optimistic about other people trying to dictate to Palestinians what the future looks like. Believe me, and I'm sure that they will echo my statements. Palestinians are some of the most intelligent, resilient, funny people that you will meet. And the more that we keep blocking them out and trying to make them a thing of the past, I think the more uncertainty the future will bring.
As long as we allow people to profit off of the system. The reason why Netanyahu showed in front of the UN poster of Greater Israel included the Jordan River all the way to the Nile River and all the way out to the Mediterranean is because there's $2 trillion of natural gas off of Gaza. And below that is $5 trillion worth of oil. And that's the real reason this exists. There has never been a ceasefire since the Nakba in the mid-40s, 1940s. And this has only been, hit the rewind button, this has never been a Jewish versus Muslim thing. We have always been brothers. This is only, I want your land and I'm willing to kill your kids to get it. That defines Zionism, and we have to eliminate that. It has nothing to do with Judaism. It's purely Zionism, which existed since the early 1890s.
I think the most important point is what Thayer said, that we just don't have a right to answer that question. Or I don't, he does. But we as Americans shouldn't be the ones to decide, not that you're implying that we should, but that we don't have the right to decide what happens in other parts of the world. We have plenty of problems, as you might have noticed. We can deal with things here, and then when we're purely good people, then we can go criticize how other people run their lives. But yeah, this is a problem of running an empire. All of a sudden, you think you own the world. We need to get our food off the Palestinians next and let them decide what to do with those.
Hi, I just had a quick question about the topic of USAID, which was mentioned in the film. Prior to the cutoff of USAID, it seemed like there was a lot of issues with supplies getting into Gaza in general, lots of broken things. I just wanted to, if you could give your, basically, your perspective on how the cutting of USAID can further damage the lack of supplies, and as well as like your experience working abroad in general, how much USAID has helped so many people across the world and how much it can help Gaza. And then on top of that, what can we do? What are some good organizations we can donate to in order to get medical supplies in? And what's your advice on that?
Thank you for that question. I mean, it's an important question. I think it addresses, there's a couple of things I'd like to address about that. First and foremost, the reason that there was money going to the Gaza Strip and the rest of Palestine is not just because of the occupation, but the Gaza Strip has been under siege since 2006. It was miserable getting stuff into Gaza before this genocide took place. And as somebody who's worked in Gaza multiple times at that time, I can tell you even spare parts for MRI machines and CT scanners were really, really hard to get in, being denied at a really high rate. When an organization as big and massive as USAID gets defunded, it also means that there will be less money to go around for all of the other organizations that you may know, or government institutions and agencies. Doctors Without Borders is affected if USAID suddenly pulls out of the realm. It leaves that much bigger of an issue to address with that much less money to go around. And so it's not just what's going to happen in Palestine with respect to USAID projects, but every single non-governmental organization, humanitarian aid organization has been conducting cuts. And so all of the impoverished areas, or areas where there is really difficult access with respect to healthcare and humanitarian aid, all of them are reeling as a result of this. And USAID is not perfect. None of these organizations are perfect. But we're talking about pulling money away, and as a result, people dying. I mean, that's plain and simple.
When I went to Gaza the first time, I took 700 pounds of metal implants with me. That's what an orthopedic surgeon puts in people. That was gone in the first week that I was there, while the border was still open. I haven't put 700 pounds of implants in people in 35 years of practice in the United States. That's how much was gone in the first week when the borders were open. Feroz brought $1 million worth of his own stuff with him, and that was gone. Not anymore. Don't underestimate his ability to self-sacrifice, and nobody still dated him though. The issue is that there's absolutely no medical supplies. At the end of that first week, we didn't have betadine, we didn't have Windex, we didn't have Clorox, we didn't have Q-tips, we didn't have 4x4s, we had no splits. And at the end of my second trip, when the blockade was going on, first of all, you saw me putting antibiotics and hiding them. between my butt cheeks, in my socks, because we weren't allowed to bring in anything. We weren't allowed to bring in a box of Band-Aids. My whole group would be eliminated. They called a box of Band-Aids. They confiscated my microsurgical instruments from me, the Israelis did. Your trip would have been canceled. We were allowed to bring in only $250, which was the cost of transporting ourselves to and from Gaza, so deliberately, so we couldn't donate any money in a population where a can of tuna fish costs $90 and 2 tomatoes cost a week's worth of salary. This was all orchestrated, as was USAID's canceling, just to impoverish the Palestinians and hurt them even more. My last surgery that I did there, we drill holes in bones and screws in them. The only way I could fix 6 children's broken elbows was to leave the drill bits in and use those as pins. That's how rare the supplies were. So to answer your question, we're committing, an ethical, horrible ethical genocide because of the limitations of medical supplies.
Yeah, the defunding of USAID was kind of an act of just wanton cruelty. It's kind of shocking to see how absurd it was. And certainly not limited to Gaza. I mean, how many people have died just in South Africa of HIV complications just because of that kind of, this is a studied question. It's a shockingly high number. Again, with what everybody calls a ceasefire, who knows what it really is, but with this October 9th agreement between Israel and whoever else, there is, the part of that was the establishment of what's called the CMCC in Kiryat Gat. It's just right outside of Gaza. It's a US military base. It stands for Civil Military Coordination Center. That was supposed to take over the entry of aid from, there's more than enough aid in Jordan, in Egypt, and actually in stagey areas within Gaza to at least stop the mass death that's still going on from disease, from displacement, from hunger, from children dying of the cold, hypothermia, things like that. That's all there. There's shelter, there's premium shelters, there's everything. It's all sitting there. It's been sitting there for 2 years. You saw some of the trucks in the movie. It's just been sitting there doing nothing. The U.S. military has the best logistics people in the world, so they sent them to Kiryat Gat, to the CMCC, and they all left after a week. They just said, there's no logistical problem. There's plenty of roads going right into Gaza. Gaza's right there. It's not a remote area of the world or something. The problem is the Israelis won't let us take anything in, and when they say no, we say, oh, fine. So it's hardly an issue of, in Palestine specifically, USAID elsewhere is a different matter, but in Palestine specifically, it's hardly an issue of funding, it's an issue of political will. To just say, look, there's no reason for chickens not to go into Gaza. How do you weaponize a chicken? What are you talking about? This is completely, Thayer mentioned the blockade that was imposed in 2006 and 2007. This is all, in the Washington Post, it's hardly some obscure reference. The Israelis were preventing baby chickens, notepads, thyme, spice, potato chips, chocolate, bonbons. The list just goes on and on. Finally, an Israeli NGO named Gisha sued to get the list of the things that are forbidden in Gaza. And the Israeli military admitted that they really don't have one. So instead, here's a list of 40 things that are allowed in Gaza. Can you imagine trying to run a society with being allowed to have 40 objects? This is complete insanity, So this is what we've been doing to Gaza for a very, very long time. And USAID is a part of it, to be sure, but really, in the end, the issue is the political will to just stop harming these people.
Well, we left Gaza the first time, Feroz and I. And we didn't realize it on the way in, but on the way out, when the border was still open, this is in May of 2024, April of 2024, we passed a line of 18-wheeler trucks that were 8 abreast, idling or off, rotten vegetables and dead chickens on them. The trucks were 8 abreast, 30-some miles long. 30 miles long. Do the math. That's enough for trucks to go around the entire Gaza Strip 3 times, bumper to bumper. And that's when the border was open, and they still were not allowed in, because there's a process where you get permission to come in. We were there when the World Central Kitchen got bombed, with that permission. And so everybody was afraid to bring the truck in, because you're going to get a bomb right through your windshield, just like World Central Kitchen fans did.
I would like for this to go on, but we're out